I needed to chime chime because chime is an interesting word in regard to my resume, and one to the uh second job I ever had. That aside, um, I'm watching this Da Vinci's Armageddon season one, episode two. Um, I've come to realize that depending on what filter you're viewing it through, you're getting different perspectives. Um, Even within the narrators of the show. And when I say different filters, I'm talking about whether you are uh, watching the show on um, History Vault, or like which uh, satellite you're watching it from, or which station. Um, but anyway, I've always wondered what the Nostradamus effect is. Like I knew it, I had an overall interpretation or understanding that it had something to do with Armageddon, but myself, I always need to like understand the complete, like and I never could grasp it. I know it had to do with Armageddon, but I didn't understand the connection of Armageddon to Da Vinci and what the Nostradamus effect. Why was it called, excuse me, the Nostradamus effect? Um, as I'm watching this, and again, this is my interpretation as a Christian, and as I speak my own truth of my own existence, um, from April 10th, 1964 to present day. Um, so one of the first things that I notice is one of the presenters, narrators, whatever you want to call them on the show, looks like Gene F. Henderson II, which is an irritant because to me, no matter what he is to anyone else, to me, he is Satan incarnate. And I think that if he wants to be viewed as Satan incarnate, that's why he keeps coming or trying to work his way back into my life. Because he will never be seen in my eyes as anything but. If he's something else to someone else, then he should seek to be in those people's lives, not mine. And from what I know, not in my children's lives either. Um, uh, so then there's another representative who looks resembles to me like she could be Joan Jett, and for whatever reason, she's coming through as Mary to me, Mary, Mother of Jesus. Um, and she's also coming through as Joan Jett. Now, this sounds insane to people who maybe haven't been through as much as I've been through. Or it sounds insane to those who want to continue to be deceitful and live their lives in a deceitful vehicle, creating and using anything and anyone to worm their way through existence instead of living their own truth and allowing others to live their own truth. Um, um, and Pat Benatar is a rival of Joan Jett. And I see Pat Benatar as Elaine Phillips, the chaplain from Champa House. As far as resemblance and the roles, not really roles, because Joan Jett didn't play a role in my life, except for I liked Joan Jett and my younger sister liked Pat Benatar. And I have lived not the life of Mary, of Mother of Jesus, but I've been treated as such. No room at the inn, no matter where me and my daughter went. Um, um, but back to the Nostrodomus effect, and I know that everyone, the same ears and eyes who have had their eyes and ears on me, who are afraid to take their eyes and ears off of me because they are too guilty of me and or my children to do such. Um, um, the Nostradamus effect, and Noah Wiley is an actor, obviously, and he's an interesting character to me, person. And I've often wondered what he is like in real life, and what kind of life did he live, and what is his true character. And the reason is because most of the time when I've seen him, he seems very serious and very like has a presence that is very serious, very like has principles, ideas which may correspond to my own. Um, um, and I'm not saying necessarily that he claims to be a Christian or Jew or Muslim. I'm not talking about his religious life. I'm talking about his character as a person. Now, in this Da Vinci's Armageddon show, the person who is portraying Leonardo da Vinci resembles Noah Wiley. And he also resembles the and Noah Wiley is played a character in a movie that I watched twice in the past 2 days, or 2 evenings. The point of this Da Vinci's Armageddon is, as I'm watching this, because I'm like, okay, let me tune into this, because things in my Christian life are like aligning, and the battles are very visible. Like the realm of angels and demons is very visible to me. And I imagine not just me. I'm not claiming myself to be the but as I'm watching this Da Vinci's Armageddon, I'm wondering if his visions that he is seeing of the future were actually, is he possibly Noah? Is he reborn of Noah? Noah as in Noah's Ark. So if Da Vinci is Noah reborn, then he is having flashbacks of the past that he himself is possibly confusing as in future events. And depending on who was in Da Vinci's life at the time, because I've been very frustrated about the whole that era, that Renaissance era. Um, so if Da Vinci is Noah, I don't like to use the word reincarnate because that's not that's a different culture word for what I see as the same thing as being reborn from one era in history to the next. Not, oh, I'm going to go get an alias and have a funeral for myself over here and get an alias. That's between the alias people and Jesus, or the alias Christians and Jesus. That's not my judgment, except for when it comes into my life. I consider that to be a betrayal. If you are a person who is guilty of me from, my childhood or up through present day, and you're trying to work your way back into my life for the purpose of betrayal yet again, um, that's when I can say, you know what, you're aliased, get out of my way. And in regard to my children, because my calling, as I have stated, as a Christian, my calling, I know Jesus put me on earth as a nurturer and to raise my own biological children. Um, so in watching this, there's a whole, as everybody knows, there's a whole lot of biblical parallels. And again, the thing that's interesting to me is if Da Vinci is Noah from Noah's Ark, um, and Noah is born into another era through Da Vinci. And so Da Vinci is in this really torn, confused state of mind because he thinks he's seeing the future, and what he's actually seeing is the past, his past life, and as Noah. And this is my theory. Um, uh, but at the same time, he's able to see it as the future because possibly people in his life at the time, I don't know if Da Vinci claimed to be a Christian or what he claimed as a religious ideal, um, or if he was, but if he was not a Christian and he was being called into Christianity by Jesus during that era, or called back into, or called forward into Christianity. And he is like in this really chaotic state of mind because he's seeing the floods from Noah, but he's also being pulled into Christianity via Jesus's calling. So he's seeing the future also of the floods that we're seeing in today's world, because there's so many Christians who are pulling Christians whose faith is strong enough to stand and say, I am a New Testament Christian. Yes, I have read verses from the Old Testament, but only as fill-in information and as Jesus calls me to do so, because he wants me to see something, not because the Christians who have read the Bible front and back and forward and all that are saying you have to, because I know what my calling is. And I know when one of those Christians who have felt superior to me and judged me, I know when they are demanding that because they had to, kind of thing. Um, so if Da Vinci had those same kind of, and Da Vinci, for whatever reason, Jesus is obviously calling him into, maybe he's an anchor, or an anchor in the storm, or like a starting point for those before Da Vinci's time to be called into Christianity by Jesus. Um, and Da Vinci may have uh, uh, been so confused and seen as whatever he was seen as, um, because mind was in a lot of chaotic turmoil because of the position he was put in as what he was in another life, in the pre New Testament, the Old Testament era of Christianity. And so now through Da Vinci, Noah through Da Vinci is being called into the New Testament. So if you look at it that way, you can completely understand Da Vinci's, like, really, like, oh, what all this turmoil, all this chaos. And the fact that he states things in such prophetic, sincere words. But again, also, everything that he has said and quoted from what is shown in this show, it just like in the Bible, it depends on how you interpret each thing. If I interpret John 3:16, for God so loved the world he gave his only begotten son, and that's all I'm hearing from all the Christians, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, Christians who took my son from me twice in this existence of my existence on earth. um there was one Jesus, and God gave his son. He did not say go out and take every woman's son and then use John 3:16 as a sorry, John 3:16, we got to take your son. No, there was one Jesus. um and if uh Da Vinci is that verse has been used in my life so profoundly against my interpretation and my purpose and my calling as a Christian on earth, that it's like every time I bring it in, since I was a child, and every time I say it, I there's a bird on my thing. Um, the Christians who told me I couldn't be a Christian because things like I didn't read the Bible front and back to forward how many times, and other really ridiculous kind of reasons. And at the time, um, I took it to heart, even though I knew I was still, I knew I was a Christian, but I was like, I started to carry this cross of persecution by these Christians who took my son into in 1987, and then afterwards again in 2007, and used that verse in the Bible as a prosecution of their actions in kidnapping. They and then and even now those Christians, that very one who has fought for my identity via theft of my uh, identification, legal documentation of my legal identity. Um, and I have because it comes into play again and again and again and again and again and again. Um, and those verses that they were thrown in my face again, and there's very key verses that those Christians who took my children from me, um, it's like they've surrounded me with these like little cells of deception. um and to me, that's Satan's view. So my younger sister Leah is Satan incarnate in my life also. So I prefer that my younger sister Leah stay away from me and my children. If she's something else to other people, again, just like Jeremy Kilpatrick, and I don't even like to say his last name, and he loved to use the word smite. And I imagine that Jeremy Kilpatrick knew my younger sister Leah. Um, those people surround me with all their partying and all their justification, and they're sorry, they're calling their mouth while they're doing the deeds that they're doing and calling themselves Christians and calling me Satan, when I'm simply trying to live my own life according to my calling, which they took from me. And I know my calling because I've been the same person characterally since I was a child. I haven't gone out and got an alias and then called myself a Muslim in this town and a Jew in this town. And I'm not trying to down those people. I'm trying to make a point. Just like Jesus, I have lived my life as one character, one ideal, not this on this street, this on that street, this name over here, that name over here, and then called the person who has one identity lazy because she doesn't have any aliases. She doesn't have, and this is what the things that have been that they've tagged me as such. That and then sat and laughed about it as because they have all these connections, social connections via parties and cocaine and heroin and all kinds of different behaviors, and have pulled my biological children in to their behaviors, and called themselves Christians. Can't see it. I'm sorry. It's not, and I am not judging drug addiction. I am not judging um, the alias unless they're, like I said, presenting themselves or putting themselves in my path, uh, in the path of my existence as an opportunity to betray me again. Then I can say, and or my children. Um, and my view in regard and how this comes into play is those Christians have pulled me and my children, because my children born of my womb in 1987 and in 2007, I can claim, baptized in the water of my womb and covered with the blood of my veins during during my pregnancy and in childbirth as Christians, according to my belief, not Leah's, not Sandy's, not even either of their biological fathers, mine. Um, and then I know that my children realize that they have their own calling. And I think I have an idea of not an idea, but because of my visceral connection to my children, I think at some point I'll be able to know what and when they come to realization of what their personal calling is. Um, but those Christians who have continued to pull uh, to attempt to pull me into Old Testament existence when I know I'm a New Testament Christian, do I look at again? Do I look at, and so what I'm saying is that depending on what Da Vinci was going through at the time, he may have been surrounded by people who were pulling him before he had complete understanding of what he was going through psychologically, emotionally, and whatnot. I don't. I can only via different and through my own litmus test of my own truth, my own existence, and what I can see within my own truth. Um, and when I say my own truth, I'm saying what I know I have lived. Um, so if not, or not, and I'm right now questioning in my mind why is it, as I'm speaking, I'm seeing Da Vinci and I'm like questioning, okay, now I know, I'm wondering, it's Nostrodomus Effect, and why is it talking about Da Vinci? Because you can call me stupid or whatever, but I know I'm not stupid. I've just not made those connections consciously as far as what is Nostradamus in significance to Da Vinci. Uh, and I'm not making excuses for myself. I can just hear the people who have studied and found history and hidden in history, um, laughing because look, she doesn't even know what that kind of thing, because that's the kind of ways that I've been made fun of intellectually, when in fact I don't see being able to memorize details of that kind of information. I see it as trivia, like let's get on Jeopardy and see how many answers we've been able to memorize. That's, to me, that's not intelligence. That's, well, I guess it is a type of intelligence, being able to memorize, because um I'm not trying to insult anybody the way that they've in any way close to what they've insulted me and my intelligence. I know that there are different types of intelligence. And I know that there are ways that I am much more intelligent than other people. And there are ways that other people are much more intelligent than me. And I don't need to compete. I wait for things to be revealed to me. Just like this whole Da Vinci thing and the Nostrodomus effect. I could not, it's like the cuneiform stuff. And I would like look at it and I'd be like, I don't understand what's going on there. To me, it just looks like a bunch of. I waited to watch the show and try to understand when I could see it revealing itself to me via my own truth. In other words, Jesus, when Jesus wants me to see, Jesus will reveal to me what that is about. And that's what I feel like is going on with this Da Vinci thing. I don't try to force my mind to interpret or understand. If I know it's not for me to understand right then, it's kind of like somebody pressuring me into riding a skateboard when I knew when I was a child. That's not my skill. I don't have any desire to ride a skateboard, not even when it was so popular that everyone my age was riding skateboards. When skateboards first came into, because it was within my childhood, and childhood, like up through 18 years of age, it was within my childhood that skateboards became popular. And I knew back then, that's not my skill. I have no desire. Yeah, you all look whatever, but that's not my skill level. I don't care how popular it becomes. It's not my skill to try to learn. It's that type of thing. So when within this whole Nostradamus effect, for those who understand and already know the connection between Nostradamus and Da Vinci, instead of relentlessly making fun of me and trying to make me look like an idiot, maybe you could maybe consider that Jesus didn't need me to see. Maybe it was your test of your Christianity, and yet again needing to make fun of another Christian who you've made fun of relentlessly for very many years already. Maybe it's Jesus's test of you in finally being able to refrain from making fun of me and my existence on earth. So I just needed to talk and on this on this subject, because again I find it very not fascinating, but it's like I can see Da Vinci's really chaotic mind, and they show it really well, and I think it's close to how what Da Vinci was probably going through emotionally and intellectually at the time. a condition of almost insanity because of what he was trying, what he was seeing, what he was possibly experienced. Um, if he was Noah on the ark, and now he's Da Vinci, and he's being shown by Jesus, and he's like, whoa, what the heck is going on? So I just wanted to offer and a perspective of of this, what I see in this in this show. Because I think that Noah Wiley, ironically, with that, and I'm not trying to lay anything huge on him, because I know what actors have gone through, and uh, famous personalities, and I know that there's always a good and evil perspective, and depending on how many aliases either they were forced to take because they just couldn't handle anymore, or I need to end it there because I don't want to go in too deep. I don't want to cause a good person to have to experience more turmoil. However, I would. My purpose is to shed some light on by presenting a different perspective, or it might even be, something that that someone besides me is already seeing, and maybe would like a little bit of yeah, I agree with you kind of thing, and I see what you're saying, and yeah, I think you're uh um and again, I want to end with, if I tell you you are Satan incarnate in my life, my children aren't, and you're still seeking to put yourself in my life in an alias for whatever purpose, because the only way that Gene F. Henderson II and several other uh, physical beings from my childhood and my early adulthood and my teenhood can make things up to me is by staying away from me and doing, like, on the peripheral, the opposite of what they've done to me and or my children thus far. And again, it's the show that I'm watching is called Da Vinci's Armageddon. It's season 1, episode 2, and I want to see what filter I'm watching it through. If I can, I want to. The Roku channel. Have a good day and happy birthday to me. April 10th is my birthday. Oh, and to my children who I love and adore very much. My first daughter Jennifer knows that that I always said to her that her birthday is actually a gift to me as a maternal biologic. I didn't use that term back then, but and the same with my second children born in 2007. I don't know. I would be who Yeah. And then we're